Jamahl Mosley did everything right except the one thing Orlando needed most. He turned a lottery team into a playoff contender, developed a Rookie of the Year in Paolo Banchero, and guided the Magic to 3 consecutive postseason appearances for the first time in over a decade. Monday morning, less than 24 hours after his team's season ended, the Magic fired him anyway. This matters because Orlando just became the clearest example of something shifting across the NBA. Making the playoffs isn't enough anymore. Not when you've been stuck in the same round for 3 straight years. Not when your franchise hasn't won a single playoff series in 16 years. And especially not when you blow a 3-1 lead in the way Orlando just did. Here's what happened. The Magic took a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Detroit Pistons in the first round of the 2026 playoffs. They were 1 win away from finally breaking through, from ending a playoff series drought that stretched back to 2010, back when Dwight Howard was still in his prime and the team swept the Atlanta Hawks. Then they lost 3 games in a row. Game 7 wasn't even close. Detroit won 116-94, completing one of only 14 3-1 comebacks in NBA playoff history. For the Pistons, it was their first playoff series victory in 18 years. For Orlando, it was the exact moment that made Mosley's firing inevitable. The cruelty is that Mosley built this. When he took over in 2021, the Magic were coming off a 21-51 season with no clear direction. He inherited a rebuild and turned it into something real. Banchero became an all-star. Franz Wagner developed into a foundational piece. Jalen Suggs got a $150 million extension. The team went from irrelevant to a legitimate playoff fixture in the Eastern Conference. But in the NBA, building a good team and building a winning team are 2 different things, and Orlando decided Mosley could only do the first. What makes this sting is the pattern. This wasn't a fluke collapse, it was the 3rd consecutive first-round elimination under Mosley. In 2024, they lost in 7 games. In 2025, they lost in 5. This year, they had the lead, they had the momentum, and they still couldn't finish. At some point, the front office stopped seeing bad luck and started seeing a ceiling. Jeff Weltman, Orlando's president of basketball operations, is now tasked with finding a coach who can take the same core, Banchero, Wagner, Suggs, and do what Mosley couldn't, win when it matters. The math is brutal. Orlando has made the playoffs 7 times since that 2010 series win. All 7 times, they lost in the first round. The franchise has now gone longer without a playoff series victory than some of their current players have been alive. Mosley brought them back to relevance, but relevance without results has a shelf life, and Orlando just ran out of patience. What happens next will tell you whether this was the right call or a catastrophic mistake. The Magic have the talent. They have the money. They have a young core that should be entering its prime. What they don't have anymore is the coach who built all of it. That gamble, that someone else can take Mosley's foundation and turn it into something he never could, is either the move that finally gets Orlando past the first round, or the decision that sends them right back to the lottery they just escaped.